Again, for those of you who are new, my name is Nguyen, and I currently live in Atlanta, Georgia, where there is a large population of Koreans. And in fact, last night we just ate at Tofu Kitchen, which is a popular. My kids love that. That's a Korean restaurant, and my kids love to go there because they love to eat the barbecue ribs. And of course, everybody loves Korean barbecue, right? And I think Atlanta has one of the best Korean barbecue here. Okay, and we love it. And I have been in Nu Skin for 10 years, and the journey has been great. Prior to that, I was doing restaurants. I was building Vietnamese restaurants, and my wife was a pharmacist. And after 2 years in Nu Skin, my wife quit her pharmacy job. So for 8 years now, and I've sold up all my restaurants to focus on Nu Skin, and the journey has been great. And I was chatting with Lisa, earlier before you came in, and I said, the pandemic, it's very, very bad that people are sick and dying. But on the other side, it allows me and many people like Lisa and Paul a chance to kind of chill, right? Because our business continues. We spend time at home with the kids. We do the things that we love, and the business still functions. And we look around, and I look around, I see my friends suffer with their other businesses. And, I thank Nu Skin every single day for what I have and for the lifestyle that I have. And Nu Skin has also given me a chance to grow as a person, to grow as a leader as well. So today our topic is how to be a great leader. And this is the topic that I asked myself when I started Nu Skin, because I don't know how you came into Nu Skin. I don't know what your goals are for Nu Skin. But when I came to Nu Skin, my goal was to become very, very successful. And I went to events, and from the leaders on stage, they say, in order for you to become successful, you have to be a great leader. And then from that moment on, that's what I worked on. And also when I heard, listen to the compensation plan. The compensation plan says our plan rewards leaders. So it only reinforces that belief, philosophy, or goal that I have to become a great leader. But then, what does it mean? What does it mean to be a great leader? And that is the question I wanted to ask yourself first, because without knowing what it is, how can we achieve it? It's just like when you get into a car and you drive somewhere, but you don't know where you want to go. How are you going to get there? And in fact, even if you got there, how do you know that was the place, right? So becoming a leader, a great leader, is a very abstract idea, very general, very unclear, because you want to become a great leader. I wanted to become a great leader, but for me, outside of the fact that I wanted to become a great leader, I had no idea what it meant. I could not visualize what it meant to be a great leader. So the next phase for me was to define what great leaders mean for me. Because great leaders might mean making a lot of money, maybe talking from stage, maybe having a lot of followers, so on and so forth. But after searching for a while, I came up to a conclusion that said a great leader is someone who has great positive influences on other people. So that became a way for me to work on myself. How can I become more influential? How can I become more positive, and to create positive influences on other people? So that was my search. But today I want to offer some clear two points of view. But first, I want to do some work with you, because by listening, you forget, right? So there's a few things that I really want you to ask yourself. What does it mean for you? Just in general, what does it mean to be a great leader? Not you, but just in general term, right? What does it mean for you to be a great leader? Looking at other people, what do you see? How do you judge? How do you know that person is a great leader? And second, how do you know when you became a great leader? So what is it? How do you define great leader for yourself? Okay, for others. So let's say when you're looking at Paul, you say, okay, Paul is a great leader. So what is it about Paul that makes him a great leader? Okay. And then you look at yourself in the mirror and you ask yourself, what is it about me that make me a great leader? Or what is it that I don't have that I should have to make me a great leader? And sometimes the process of becoming a leader is self-reflection. So that's the first thing that I want you to do. Next, I want you to imagine something, okay? You are driving in a nice car. You are going to a restaurant. You left your laptop in the car. After dinner, a very nice dinner, you came out and your window is smashed. Your laptop is gone. How would you react to that? And maybe it already happened to some of you, I don't know. But if it happened to you, how would you react? Okay? Next. Okay, next. You are driving down the road. Okay? And then there are people, not just one. There are people behind you that keep honking at you. And suddenly there's a guy or a girl that cut right in front of you. And then they show you the finger. How would you react? Oh, probably happened to Ellen, huh? How would you react? Okay? Now, putting yourself into this kind of simulation in your mind, kind of check, how would I react to this situation? And of course, now it's just a simulation because real time is different, right? Real life is different because you might say, oh, I'm just going to smile, wave, and wish them a good day, theoretically, that's what you wish to do. But when you get cut in traffic, they show you one finger, you show them two, yeah? So because reality and, simulation is very, very different. But I'm putting all these situations out there so you can kind of imagine how would you react. Next. Now, I'm just kind of framing all this so you can have a good sense of what a great leader means. Next, I want you to, maybe you already have this one. Think or recall a very annoying person, okay? I hope you don't have any, but I'm sure we have some. Think about an annoying person, okay? When you meet that annoying person, how do you normally react? How do you normally feel? Next. It's 10 p.m. That annoying person call you up and say, hey Lisa, I went to dinner. My car is wrecked. Can you come and pick me up and drive me home? How would you react to that? Right? Imagine a team member. You say, hey, come and join our meeting. And 10 out of 10 times, he or she is late. How do you react to that? Next. You do a training. Let's say you do a training on product, right? 180. And you did a really good training. After you're done, that person called you back and say, what was that again? What product did you say? What does that do? And then you tell them again, this is the product, that's cell renewal, this is what it does. And then tomorrow at 9 a.m., they say, sorry, last night, I forgot what you said. What was that product again? Because I completely forgot the name and what it does. So now you say, it's cell renewal. This is what it does. And then evening, that same person called you back again and say, I'm sorry, I'm so absent-minded, I forgot to write it down. Can you tell me one more time? What was that product? What does it do? Now, how would you react? Right? And imagine if it repeats another time, the next day. How would you react to that? And you probably realize that, things like that happen all the time. You do a training and they forget, they ask you the same question like 100 times. How do you react to that? Now, I'm asking you all these questions so that it kind of makes you curious, because sometimes we know the answer, sometimes we don't know the answer. But to define a great leader, there are two ways, okay? These are the two ways I use to judge. Well, I don't judge, but in a way, I'm looking at someone, I'm looking at someone, I'm asking myself, is this person a great leader or not? And there are two things that I judge. First, I judge the way that person handle problems, challenges, unexpected situation like car broken into, money stolen, and just all the bad stuff, right? All the crisis. I'm watching and observing. I'm seeing how this person handle all those stuff. That's one way I judge. Second, I'm watching this person and the people around him or her. I'm watching how he or she treat the people around them. These are two ways I use to judge leadership. And these are the two measures I use to measure my own leadership. So to make a great leader, we learn how to handle situations, right? My second daughter, she always asks me great questions. And funny, a month ago, I was driving her to school and she turned to me and said, Dad, do you have dreams? I said, yeah, of course I have dreams. What are you talking about? I have a lot of dreams. And I thought she was just asking for fun. I said, can you tell me your dreams? I said, oh, she's serious now, right? So I'm starting to tell her my dreams. And I'm like, oh, God, what other questions she's going to ask me? And she said, what have you done with your dreams? I said, oh, she's really smart. Because imagine your kids asking you that, right? What are your dreams? What have you done with your dreams? I said, oh, God, she's difficult. So how do we handle different things, right? How do we handle different things? So for me, as a leader, I'm judging. And my same kid asked me, Dad, do you work better under pressure or not? Right? Do you work better? I think it has to do with her homework because, I'm saying, honey, have you done your homework yet? I'm asking her that question every day. So finally, she asked me that question, like, do you work better under pressure or not? And I work well under pressure. Some people cannot work well under pressure, right? The more hectic it gets, the more calm I get. And that's just me, yeah. And like the world can grow crazy. I'm like, but I think it has to do something with, I don't know, my childhood. But when you can stay calm under pressure, when you can handle crisis in a calm way, it reflects your leadership skill, right? Because I remember my mom tells me this story when she was younger, and they used to travel on these I don't know what it's called, but it's one of those small passenger car that is not very, it can take about 20 people, like pack 20 people inside. And one day, they were driving, it was driving up the hill. And when it drives up the hill, it's not going too fast. And on the side, the farmer was burning their bushes for irrigation or for something, right? But they were intentionally burning it. And one person was sleeping. And then she woke up, she thought the car was on fire. So she said, the car is on fire, the car is on fire. And then 20 people jumped off that slow moving bus. And one person broke her leg, right? So how do you think that the lady who slept handled stuff like that? She freaked out. She said it's on fire. The other 19 people jumped off. One person broke the leg. So these are different situations that can happen. How do we handle it? Now I'm giving you different examples so you can see and understand that, for you to be a great leader, you need to learn how to handle different situations. And by handling it, well, how do you handle it? Do you handle it so that things turn out well, everybody's happy? Or do you handle it so that one party comes out very happy, the other party comes out very upset? For example, person A come to you and say, person B stole my customer. Okay, this is a prospect that I've been following for a while. Okay, and suddenly I went on vacation for a week. I came back and she's buying from person B. Okay, and then person A looks at you and say, help me solve this problem. So how do you solve that? How do you solve that problem, right? Or person A has a prospect that they come and talk to that prospect all the time, and the prospect just say, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to buy the product. And now person B comes, and now the prospect say, yeah, I want to buy the products. And now the person A is upset because that should be my customer because I've been working on that person for a long time. It's not fair. How do you handle that? So also I'm giving you different scenarios so you can see how would you handle all these different situations. Could you handle it well, right? And that's just something. But you can see when we talk about handling different situations, you can see there are normally 4 reactions when we face something. Okay, and this is also how we can judge ourselves. Well, before we judge others, let's make sure we judge ourselves first, right? When we are faced with the difficulties, so let's say right now, Nu Skin, they run out a lot of products, right? And they talk to customer, and customer say, yes, I'm ready to order. And then you put in the order, it's out of stock. Not once, not twice, 5 times. So what do, right? Okay, so there are normally 4 reactions. First reaction is to blame. Okay, how come you late? Oh, it was the traffic, right? So we blame something else. Second, we justify. Okay, we justify. Third, we go into this mode where we kind of blame ourselves now. I'm so stupid. I'm so slow. It is all my fault. That's just who I am. I was born under an unlucky star. So now you are looking at yourself in a very, very demeaning way, right? And the fourth way is to take full responsibility. So for example, when the products are out, taking responsibility means, well, what can I do, right? What other products can I introduce to my customers, right? What solution can I come up with? What some creative ways can I come up with? It says like the company sucks. How come they run out of products, right? Okay, my upline, I cannot believe my upline didn't tell me that one, right? So that is not going to help, right? But to take responsibility and say, what can I do? That's the reaction. So a great leader always, when we are talking about how we deal with situation, it has to do with what choices do we make among those 4. Our human behavior and habits is to blame or justify. In fact, in the US, it's actually better to blame or justify, right? It's not my fault. I mean, the last thing you want when you have a traffic accident is to go out there and say, it's my fault. Oh God, it was my fault. You don't want to do that because that's not good, right? Even if it's your fault, maybe you want to talk to your lawyer first and what you should say, right? Before you go out there, say, yeah, I'm sorry, I just had 2 drinks and it was my fault. Now you go to jail, right? So, in different environment that we live in, we are trained to quickly blame someone, or I remember a few years back, there was a plane that crashed. And I had a friend who works for a company that make parts for the plane, right? The plane is very big and many different companies make the parts. And I asked him, so what did you guys do first? He said, the first thing we come in is we say, did that plane crash? Do we have anything to do with it? So now they're looking to see if they're responsible for it, right? And I say, okay, well, after you did that, let's say if you were responsible for it, what would you do next? I say, next is who can we blame for it? Because that's from legal perspective, that's what they need to do, right? They don't want to take responsibility. They want to find out if they are responsible. Next is who can they blame? But for leadership, we cannot do that. For leadership, especially if you are striving to be a great leader, you have to have the courage to take full responsibility. I do not have results because I've been slacking up. I do not have results because I have not been focused. Because that is the way to be responsible. Yes, the company might be out of stock, but then it's not just for you, it's for everybody, right? So when we look around, there are still people making volumes. There are still people making pin titles. So it happens to everybody, but the result is not the same for everybody. 3 days ago, I talked to a dear friend of mine. I've known him for 30 years, and he's in real estate. So about 20 years ago, it's funny, we have the same conversation for 20 years. 20 years ago, I said, hey, how is it? How is your business doing? He said, not too good. That's about a year 2000 when things were going bad. I said, now is a very bad time. It's not for me. It's the market. 10 years ago, when there was another crash, basically 2008, so on and so forth, I say, how's your business doing? I say, not good. You see the market crash. It's bad for me. 3 days ago, I say, right now in my area, houses are selling like hotcakes. Go up, it's sold. I say, man, you must be doing well. He said, the pandemic, it changes everything. It's not good for me. I say, so guess what he's doing? He's blaming everybody but himself, right? And I didn't have the heart to tell him that, I know a lot of people who are making a lot of money right now, not you. I don't know why. I didn't tell him that. I was just speaking in my head. But you can see that, examples like this are everywhere. That people are looking everywhere for excuses or blame or justification without looking at themselves and say, I'm a great leader, I take full responsibility. And in new skin business, it's very hard. Why? Because we are our own boss, right? The moment we have our ID, we are our own boss. So we have to set our own alarm. We have to make our own schedule. We have to decide where to learn, how to learn, what to learn, how much to learn. We have to decide everything. We have to decide, how much work we're going to accomplish today. We have to decide who are we going to talk to today. In other jobs, there's always someone else looking down at you and say, do this, do this, do this. We're so used to it. So when we're in this business, it is there's no limits, and that's good and that's not good. It's just like having freedom. Having freedom is good, but having way too much freedom, just like if you give your kids all the freedom, and then, you're going to have a kid. Imagine, you're going to give your kid all the freedom. Oh, all hell breaks loose, right? So for us, we have a lot of freedom. We don't know how to use it. So therefore, we blame, we justify. But the moment we look back at ourselves and say, you know what, I am a great leader. I take full responsibility for my thought, my attitude, my action, my results. Then you're onto something. And I said my thought, because if we're not responsible for our thoughts, then our thoughts become our words become our action, right? And our action becomes our results. So I am very responsible for my thoughts, right? Because even dark thoughts, even bad thoughts, that's my thought that I say, yep, that's me. I better control that. How much of those do I allow in my head? And then how much of those do I allow to come out to become a plan? It is my choice. The thought that come from me and the thoughts that come from other people as well. Because there are people around us who come and tell us things. Hey, why are you still doing this business? It's not for you, right? It's not for you. You're too pretty for this. You're too smart for this, right? They tell you so many things. How much of that would you allow to come into your mind and your head? It is your responsibility, right? And we know it's one company, one new skin, same products, same price for you and me, right? Same market. Yep, you Korean, I'm Vietnamese, and there are other people, but it's the same market. People are people. Some people are making it, some people are not making it. We have to take full responsibility. So that's the first part. And I want to really emphasize that part, that we have to take full responsibility, because how we deal with different things would reflect on how we are as a leader. Now, the second part, where how we treat other people, is very important. I have a few formulas for working with people, but this is the one thing that my leaders know very well. I have unlimited patience for my leaders, and this is the reason why. I have a very different learning curve. I have a very different background. I have a very different way of learning things. Some learn by visual, by watching something. Some learn by feeling. Some learn by listening. Some learn by doing, right? So we all learn differently. And some of us might learn with different methods, but some people can only learn by watching. So if you're talking to them, it's not making sense, right? Some people can only learn by actually doing it, or actually watching you do it, and they'll learn it. But you send them a photo, forget it, they don't get it, right? So people learn differently. And especially in our teams, in my team in particular, I have people who went to first grade and that's it. That's the highest grade they've ever been. And then I have people who went to college or PhD, right? So all range. So I recognize that people come from different backgrounds and they have very different learning speeds. Some learn faster, some learn slower. So I know that I cannot ask them to be where I am. Therefore, I have to meet them where they are. So let's say I finished college and I met someone who just finished elementary. I cannot talk college level math. I have to talk elementary math. I have to be patient with them, right? Be patient with them. So how we deal with people, and I have a call once a week, and the title is called Lead with Love. And I say, look, when you do something with people, when you're answering a question, when you're helping them out, when you're solving a problems, are you solving it with love or with what? And that's the key, right? When you're solving a problem, or when they have a problem that come to you and they ask for help, or remember that annoying person that keep asking you like the same question 5 times, 6 times, how are you responding to that? Are you responding? It's not how, I don't mean, what you say. How, I mean, how do you feel toward that person? Do you feel love when you respond? Or you say, oh God, I'm going to kill this person if you ask me one more time, right? So do you respond with love or do you respond with something else? And I admit there are times when, I just feel like, oh God help me, there are times when I feel like I need higher power up there because, my power ran out 2 days ago. Yeah. But then again, I have to take a deep breath and say, how do I respond to this person? With love or with annoyance, right? And I always want to come back and say, you know what? I'm doing this with love. And that's the thing, because especially nowadays, the world and everybody around us, they're just very sensitive to everything, love is important. And especially the way we build our team with Nu Skin. The Nu Skin culture is so unique, is that it encourages us to do good, to be a force for good around the world. So how can we be a force for good around the world without being a force for good with those around us, right? By how we treat them. So when I meet with someone, and we all should have some kind of guidelines. So when we do things, we do things well. So for example, you go to a place. When you left that place, would that place be nicer, neat, better than when you first came, or is it a mess, right? That's a place. People the same. So I have a principle with people that when I meet with people, I would like to leave them in a better mood than before I met them. So either I would say something uplifting, give them a compliment, give them some word of encouragement or something, so that when I left, they are left feeling a lot better than before, right? And that is leading with love. That's how we treat people. And sometimes we neglect this. And, I did a training the other day. I said, look, this is something I do not understand. Some of you might drive 6 hours to meet a prospect, to sell a product or to sponsor them, okay? And after that person sign up, if that person asks you to drive 1 hour from where you live to help them, you say, no, that's too far. But this is human psychology. See, before I got married, I live in California. My wife, back then, my girlfriend, right? She lived in Massachusetts. And I would fly over and visit her every month, right? Every month, right? After I married her, I would come and see her mom like twice a year. And her mom would say, how come I don't see you as often as before? And I said, Mom, you live very far away, right? And she said, you didn't say that when you were dating my girl, yeah? When I was dating, her daughter, I was seeing her every month. After I got married, oh, God, so far away, so cold in the winter. Yeah. So that's just human psychology, right? So in our team, I said, that's something I don't understand, is that you are willing to drive very far, working so hard to sponsor someone. And after you sponsor someone, you're not even willing to drive an hour to help them. That's how we treat people. I know we're all busy, but these are just different ways that we can look and reflect on who we are, how we deal with people. I'm not asking you to be a saint. So don't go out there and drive 6 hours to help somebody tomorrow, okay? But I'm just saying, I'm just using these examples so that we can see how we are in different situations. And sometimes we don't even see it. It's this unconscious thing we do without realizing that, hey, I'm not being honest with myself. I did this before, but I'm not willing to do this now. What happened? Yeah, maybe you got so annoyed you asked me the same question 5 times. I don't know, right? But those are the things that we want to be very careful and pay attention to. So the question of how can we become a great leader? One, how do we handle different situations? And by knowing those two, that thing, now you're watching it, right? Because I read somewhere that say, if you want to be patient, God will grant you many opportunities to be patient. So God is not going to give you patience, right? God is going to say, oh, people cutting in front of you, people being late, just to see how you respond and kind of train yourself to be patient, right? So that's the thing. So by knowing the formula, it creates a higher level of awareness so you can track yourself and say, hey, I want to become a great leader. And great leader means I need to handle situation better. So how am I handling this situation? Am I justifying? Am I blaming? Am I making excuses? Or am I taking full responsibility, right? All the time. And for me, that's the way I kind of measure myself all the time. And there are days when I'm tired, right? I'm physically exhausted. So when I'm physically exhausted, that means that mentally I'm also not well. So mentally, if I'm not well, then, I get upset easier than when I'm very well, right? So there are different days. But by knowing that I need to handle situation better, then we become more aware. And when we are aware, we can choose on how we react. Versus before, we're not aware of anything. We just react, right? We just react, right? Just like, God said that if somebody slapped you on one cheek and you turn another cheek, right? I don't know. God does not live in this century or something, right? Because sometimes, like, you slap me on one cheek, I'm going to slap you twice on the other cheek, right? Because that's the normal reaction that we take. But let's say we choose to live the Bible and say, you know what? I'm going to follow God's word for the next 3 months. And let's say somebody slap you. Normally, you slap them back twice. But since you choose to follow God's words and for 3 months, okay, here's the other cheek, right? Because you're now very conscious of the choice that you make, right? Because now you already make a choice that, this is the way I choose to react. So when it comes to it, you're ready. Versus before, you didn't make that choice. You had that knowledge somewhere behind your back, but you did not make the choice to react the way that you want to react. But now that, because you make that choice already, so now you just respond, right? For example, you say that if my downline asks me the same question 5 times, I'm going to count from 30 to 1 before I respond, right? Maybe 300 to 1, I don't know, right? But by consciously deciding how we respond to the situation that annoys us most, when it comes, we know how to respond, right? So for example, I'm in my office and sometimes before my kid would just rush in, right? And I get really annoyed, right? So I have to talk to them. And now I say, what would happen if my kid just rushed in here, right? Because I have to decide what I would do first. Otherwise, I say, get out, right? But now I would just slowly turn around and say, honey, give me 5 minutes. Because now I already make that choice on how I react. So by choosing to react before we had to react, now we are doing things with intention. Does that make sense? Right? So now we're doing things with intention. So now we can control how we respond to different things better. I teach a marriage class. I don't know what it's called. In church, you know, people are getting married and they attend a class. So I teach one of those classes. And I asked the girl, I said, hey, if you win a lottery and you have $1,000, what will you do? Write it down, right? So I asked the girls to write down. I asked the boys, the guys, guys, if you win a lottery, you have $1,000, what would you do? So the guys would write it down, right? So now the two people would write down what they want to do. And I said, now when you're done, why don't you read it aloud? The couple read it aloud and see if you buy the same thing or you do the same thing with the $1,000. Guess what? You think they do the same thing? The girl would do something else and the boy would do something completely different. I said, see, now you know. So when you win $1,000 and you give it to your spouse, she'll buy all the shoes. Yeah, you would think that she would save it, but she's gonna buy all the shoes, okay? Because now you know, right? You know, so you wouldn't be surprised, right? But if he didn't know, he'd be like, why did you buy the shoes? So now they would have a good fight, yeah? So my point is, if we are aware, then the choices, we are aware, the choices are clear, and the reactions are more, we can see it, we can choose it. So leader choose how we react, okay? And the other thing is, how do we deal with people? How do we handle people? That's just something that we have to decide. And for me, my measurement is always very simple. Do I treat them with love or what, right? And there are days, oh God, sometimes God just really challenges me, you know. But I think, you know, what doesn't kill me make me stronger, I guess, right? So I get stronger every day. And so now I see somebody who's annoying, I just say, oh, another chance to be patient, right? Another chance to practice what I preach. You know, that's how I look at it, right? So now it doesn't get so annoyed. And my leader asked me one time, say, hey, look, if you have one person asking you the same question 100 times, what would you do? I said, I would answer it 100 times. She said, normally? I said, yeah, in a normal way. She said, how could you do that? I said, simple. I just imagined 100 different people asking me the same question. It is a choice, you see. So by choosing to react that way, I don't get mad at them, because I'm just looking at them and saying, oh, it's just another person happened to be asking the same question, right? That's the way. So by being conscious about the reaction that I have with the situation or with people, I make better decisions in doing both. And I'm learning both. So, and this is something that you can kind of look around as well. So you kind of look at any leader and say, you know, how are they handling things? How are they treating people, right? And we can tell. And how am I handling things? And how am I treating other people? So those are the two measures that if we use well, we practice well and become really good at it, you're going to build a great team. You're going to build a great team because you're going to take responsibility. You're going to solve problems in a very positive way. You react and you react to people with kindness and love, and people follow it. And in the end, that's what it is, right? New Skin business is all about that. Family is all about that. Teaching your kids is all about that. Living, right? Like life is all about that, right? How we handle crisis, how we treat people. And I think New Skin is a great, great, great environment for us to do that. So that's how I do my things. That's how I develop myself and how I track myself. And hopefully that's helpful for you as well. So, and then, you know, for my leader, sometimes I say, look, how are you reacting to this? You know, because they're taught these 4 reactions, right? Say, I just want to ask you, how are you reacting to that, right? Justifying, blaming, making excuses, so on and so forth, or are you taking full responsibility? And the ones that take full responsibility, they grow. And they continue to grow when they say that it is my responsibility, right? It's not fault, but it's my responsibility, right? So that's all I want to share. That's all I have to share. And I want to thank you for having me again on your call.